We're doing it. So all these are recording, yeah?
Yeah, you got it on multi-track, and do you have the mics adjusted for voices? Let's see, I can do that. So, am I channel 1?
Yep.
Do you know how you have it laid out?
1, 2, 3.
All right, so
3.
1 has a deep voice, and I'm relatively strong. Who's 2?
You're
2?
I'm 2.
All right, you're more medium.
Medium voice.
Actually, no, you're pretty deep.
I'm a deep voice.
But it's a softer voice.
Yes. Is it okay if I do the whole thing like this?
Absolutely not. Well,
so we're gonna start out.
We're doing it.
Intro music that comes in,
Yeah.
and then
So that'll be added in.
yeah, and then you're in this intro part right here. You are welcome, and then
Yeah.
What do you mean
added
added in? I can hear it right now. Can't you hear it?
Listen to that. Listen to that.
It just
Sick
sounds
music.
like the Seinfeld theme music, but scat.
It's was that band Rockapella that did all the like Folgers commercials? There's like acapella like boom, bop, boop,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It's just the Seinfeld thing, but it's a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, which isn't even a bass. You want to ruin people's day, like
Yeah, it's a keyboard.
in the first 5 minutes. Yeah, it's not even a bass. It's a keyboard. It's a synthesizer.
It's a Korg M1, which is the exact kind of stupid shit I know.
Yeah.
Is it disappointing that I never once thought, hey, how'd they play that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good. That was the intent. Anyway, ladies, gentlemen, dogs, cats, birds of prey, welcome to the Lift Dark After Dark podcast.
I am concerned about your target audience.
Mainly the birds of prey.
Yeah.
This is it. It is happening. We are in the Magnivan. We have just placed the cameras.
We are in it.
People still out in the shop working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm covered in metal dust.
That's good.
This is how it goes.
Yeah.
We're here to do it. I've been wanting a podcast for years and years and years. But I'm thankful to have your help on this because everybody, my favorite saying is podcast equipment should be more expensive because everybody has a podcast.
For sure.
But it's still shockingly cheap. So here we are to record a podcast.
Yeah, but this isn't. We had to get a Magnivan in order to do a podcast.
Yeah.
That's no
That
small
was
feat.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Trust me, we'll get to that.
Am I jumping?
Oh, yeah.
You want to introduce the people to who you are and what you do?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name's Tay Whiteside, and I'm the owner and lead fabricator of Lift Arc Studios. And sitting across from me are two handsome gentlemen, also here on the team at Lift Arc.
You want to start us off, Spike?
Sure.
Say something, please.
I was just looking at you like, I thought I was just here to hold the table down.
Yeah. Well,
I'm Spike Geffert. I am the lead designer, as my business card says, but I design, estimate, and run the robots, as they say.
He is
I say that, actually.
Lord of the Robots.
Yes, every morning we do a dance to turn on the robots and make them work.
a robot dance.
Yeah, you can't work with them unless you do the dance. I have to talk to Wyatt about that.
It's part of their union agreement, the robots.
Yeah.
They've unionized. I don't know. If you
Yeah,
know that.
they start to revolt
shit.
if you don't
Yeah.
do the dance. That's
Yeah.
the agreement humanity made.
The don't take over humanity dance.
Yeah. Strangely, they did not like the robot as the dance.
Oh.
The robots he's referring to is, of course, our CNC plasma cutter from ShopSabre and our
Thank you,
MR1
ShopSabre.
from Langmuir.
Shout out to ShopSabre.
And arriving tomorrow is the Titan 25T CNC press brake from Langmuir System,
Nice.
which we're very excited to mess with. But who the hell are you?
Oh, hey, I'm Will.
Hey, Will.
I work on content around here and creative stuff and give Tay heart palpitations.
Yeah. Well,
Keep you awake at night.
that part's funny, but if the lights don't turn on one day, got a list of things that worry me.
Yeah.
First subject is Will.
Mhm. This Magnivan we're going to have to live in now.
Oh no, I have a house.
Yeah.
But I may not have a business. But yeah, man, I mean, heart palpitations aside, we are sitting in a 1978 Magnivan Diplomat III
By executive.
by executive.
By Chrysler, by Dodge.
By Dodge, by Chrysler, by
Guess GE at some point. Like you
AMC.
could go all the way back.
Yeah.
What kind of shell corporation are we supporting?
It was very curious. I mean, I'm sure since we're going to be talking about the Magnivan, we can get into this. But
Yeah.
I think that there had to be a company that was making RVs, and Dodge or Chrysler was like, we need to get in this RV game. But they're like, we already have a name thing, and we already have a model, and we already have a submodel. And they're like, just keep it all.
Yeah.
It'll be the Dodge Magnivan Executive Diplomat.
Yeah. 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no record of 1 and 2.
No.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
This is like the Star Wars of Magnivans?
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen the Magnivan video on our YouTube, the way we animated it is pretty much how it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Will texted all of us in the group chat in the wee hours of the morning with a Facebook Marketplace ad of a 1978 RV in
somewhere in North Carolina.
Yeah, right across the border down 220.
Reidsville. I know that because it says it on the front of the Magnivan.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And there's a bumper sticker that says, like, don't you call North Carolina home or something. And it was for sale for $300, and it looked okay.
A steal, I might add.
Yeah. Well, and it was like, first it was listed for $1,800 with the engine and transmission, and then it was relisted for $300. And you were told it had no engine and trans.
No engine in it,
which was very curious.
Yeah, and I was like, and the pictures looked great. The inside looked like pretty pristine. And again,
were they old photos?
Well, they were only one half of the van,
the back half,
which we will find. Once we got there, we found out.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it was like, hey, let's make content. This will be fun. Tay has a background in salvage, so that checks off a box. Our shop video where you guys renovated the 508 did gangbusters. So I was like, why not do a salvage job that is also a renovation? This will be perfect content. And
the renovation part wasn't exactly pitched to me. I was all for a quick $300 pickup that could be our podcast studio. Actually, the podcast studio idea came later. Or was that the driving force the whole time?
I thought we could use this for some kind of studio.
Yeah.
Or a little office or something. I knew we would make something out of it.
Yeah.
And there'd be content there about whatever we made, if this was a lounge, or a break room or whatever it happened to be for work.
Yeah. Asbestos distribution center.
Yeah. As we came to find out.
The initial round office brainstorm was a speakeasy, which I will pivot to later.
Yes.
But then it became a podcast studio.
Yeah.
Because we weren't allowed to serve alcohol.
I don't think we're allowed to have.
We're not allowed to tell people. Yeah. We can give it away.
Hence speakeasy.
Yeah. Speak easier.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the podcast thing's apt because, we met forever ago, but we really started working together on the Black Dog Salvage podcast.
Yeah.
And I cut my teeth a lot on that one. I'd done a bunch of radio stuff before and very corporate podcast.
Yeah.
But, the Black Dog one was a really fun format. And so post that, I went to work, did a bunch of other stuff, did a few other podcasts. And then when I came to work for you, it was a lot of like, oh, we got to do a podcast. We got to do a podcast again. So I think the content drive for Magnivan and the desire to do another podcast just happened to cross over.
This is the only way that it starts to claw back, mitigate the cost, like it's the only way that it can start paying for itself.
Well,
because it's funny looking, and it boy does it get some laughs when people walk in the shop, and I laugh, but it's like a fake laugh on the inside. I'm like dying. I'm just like,
it's a coping mechanism.
My life is a joke.
Well, but I do think I do really again want to applaud you and Spike for and Aaron for being game for this, because again it was just sort of a pipe dream, silly idea that you signed off on, and then we had to make it real. So we figured out they said the engine wasn't involved, which made towing it easier
in theory.
So we went and got
it'd be 1,000 pounds lighter.
Yeah, exactly. And we went and got the trailer from Black Dog.
Yeah,
where you got attacked by bees.
Yeah.
And I want to say
thanks for being so sympathetic. By the way,
those are good days.
I want to say for the record, when I went back and watched that, I was focused. I saw the hornets coming out at us, and I was kind of like, uh-oh, and just didn't want to move because I'm like, they're not going to get me. Don't move. But you were very kind. You were
Which is the reaction of a serial killer.
Yeah, well,
I'm just gonna let this bus.
Or a lot of Zoloft.
Yeah,
you just don't have an adrenaline response anymore. But going back and watching the video, it was very kind. You were like, bees, and you said, Will, look out, very kind. Next thought was like, stay safe, Will. And I was like, oh, Tay was like looking out for me. That was a very nice thing.
What's what you do?
Yeah.
Like what humans do
exactly.
to other people. Compassionate.
Although,
people.
but again, thinking about content, the go-to jackass part of my brain is like, oh no, tell Will to check under the hitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only did you not move or express concern, you then gave me a sarcastic, like, they smell fear.
Yeah. They said,
yeah.
And listeners can go back and check the video if I'm wrong, but it was like, bees can smell fear. No, I got none of.
Yeah.
And then I almost got stung.
Yeah. It's a shame he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually lost a scratcher because you didn't get stung.
Well, and so and that's what happened next. So and this is an important point. We got that trailer because we thought like it was only gonna be 1,000 pounds.
Well, the engine in here is, well, spoiler alert, there's still an engine in it.
Yeah.
And it's a Chrysler 460 or 440 Magnum V8.
Yeah. It's a big V8.
Big block V8 that is extremely inefficient. And so the trans is still in here too. So it weighs every bit of what its gross rating, which is like 12,000 pounds or 11,000 pounds.
So amongst the many things that went hilariously right and wrong once we got to North Carolina, figuring out that the engine was still in there and not being sure if it was going to make it on the trailer or the trailer was going to be able to handle it was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we hauled it up on a trailer. So we get to this house and we met the owner or the person we've been talking to, and it was very clear that this property had been bought as a flip.
Yep.
We're not talking to the person who drove the Magnivan back in the 80s or 90s.
Nope.
Like, this is someone who bought a house with a bunch of trash outside.
And doesn't know what an engine is.
And by trash, I mean a 78 Magnivan. And doesn't know, because it was like...
the whole property looked abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to get us to take the other. There was another like tag along there from like the 50s.
No, they didn't try to get us to take it.
Or they asked
you
us
guys tried to get me to take it. You and Aaron were like, oh, and even Aaron was like, oh, I don't know.
Well, then when we looked inside of it, it was literally disintegrating. Like this one is mostly disintegrating. That one you could have blown over like with a fan. It was that bad.
Yeah,
would have been easy to transport.
True. Yeah, it would have just been two wheels and a frame.
Yeah, and when we got back, it would just be the axle. The rest of it would have blown off on the trip.
Which would have been funny if it was somebody else.
That's a good point.
I would have watched
and we wouldn't
content.
be liable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got there. The lady met us there. She was very nice. Had almost zero information about the van. And what we came to find out and I almost said, you know what, Tay, you're right. When we got inside, it was clear that one half of the van was pristine, and that's where the photos came from.
Did you say you almost said I was right, or you did say I was right?
Oh, no. I was like, when you were like, I don't think we're going to take it.
I pulled the plug on it at one point. I was like, we can't. This is the dumbest thing.
And I was like, he may be right. Like, he's totally right. Because, again, the pictures we got were
I don't remember it that way.
We could check the video, or at least I thought that.
Walker, edit it quick.
Because, there's like, there's your like camera persona, right? Like, and then there's also like what I'm actually thinking.
Yeah.
Sometimes get a little mixed up. But I was like, oh shit. Because the front half, I guess, had been leaking and taking on water from where the AC was. And so the front half of the Magnivan was destroyed.
Yeah.
And again, the back half, where we got all the pictures from, was beautiful. Like it was untouched from the
period. Correct.
Yes, exactly.
A survivor.
It was untouched from like the 70s. Like the kitchen, like the fridge was clean. Like it was impossibly clean in the back.
By the way, as a rule in salvaging old houses, when I used to work for my dad's architectural salvage company, Black Dog, you do not open an old fridge.
Well,
it is a rule. My dad does it every time, and every time we have all regretted it.
Well, this is the one.
Because there's always some dead, dying, or not dead, alive fungus.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely, I think.
And you just went, pow, and I'd like, gut reaction was like, oh, God, no.
Yeah, and thankfully, there was no dead body in there or raccoon or anything.
It's just smell. It's just, this is not a big van.
Really, from the door and to the left is perfect.
Yeah.
But from the door to the right, no bueno.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, you guys will see the whole space. I
Like
guess
there
you can
are
kinda
still
see in this one.
pristine pictures on the wall.
Yeah, like it was parked from the last trip and then never started again.
Yeah, I think it had 40,000 miles on it.
Oh yeah.
God, what happened to the family that owned
45.
this?
I can see the odometer from here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What happened to the family that owned this? Because it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Well, I think clearly
I bet it would start again. It's way too late for that video.
Yeah, but will it?
will it start? Tune in.
we'll have to find out.
Yeah, we have to find out. Ted. That's the next
I know.
reasonable step.
Spike, I mean, we kind of knew each other before we went on the Magnivan trip. What were your thoughts about our predicament and the shape of the Magnivan when you first saw it?
So I was on a roller coaster of I am all the way into this is a terrible idea. When we first started talking about it, I was like, this is it. I'm great. Like, it looked cool. I love the aesthetic of it. This is going to be perfect for a speakeasy. Still hasn't happened yet, but it will. And then when we started
It's just
driving,
money.
I saw like Tay was out. I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm out. Then we started driving. I was like, this is reality. I am in. You can see in the video that I'm like amped up. I was so excited. We get to the Magnivan. I was like, I am out. No way.
Yeah.
And like I remember having a quiet conversation with Tay. I was like, bro, if you don't want to do this, you just got to say so because this is not good. And
Yeah.
then when we went to
Exactly what my
Tractor
brain was
Supply to go get stuff, Tay had a little bit of like panic fear in his eyes. And then he was like, all right, guys, we're doing this. And I was like, I am in. I was like, great, we're doing this.
I had a full-on panic attack, and it was like I was struggling to override like my self-preservation system, my debt mitigation,
A very healthy
system.
thing. Yes.
Yeah. I still haven't figured out how to do it, and
Yeah. But at least you're doing it more quietly now.
yeah, I'm just
'Cause-
panicking on the inside.
Because at Tractor Supply, you looked concerned.
Well, and Aaron wanted to really badly buy some like scissors. I think that was my breaking point. Like, I didn't really understand. He wanted to buy these like, 10 snips.
Yeah.
And I was just like, since then I have used these to great avail. So thank you, Aaron. We'll have Aaron on the show.
Yeah, they're
again,
great
so.
snips.
But at the time I was like already frustrated, already just like the whole crew is on the road. We're not building anything. We're not making any money. I'm spending money. I'm liable for trailer and tires and gas and the money for the Magnivan.
And there's no
And
TV
now,
money
and
coming
now
in.
someone's like, man, we really need scissors. And I was like, I want to cry. I am so uncomfortable
Yeah.
and nervous and mad and confused. And then I guess it was some reassurance maybe from you, Spike, or just I reached deep within. I was like, look, it's too late now.
Yeah, you're in.
We're in North Carolina.
You're
we
pot
have the
committed.
stock. We've already made our Harbor Freight trip to
Yeah.
get winches. It's like, do it. Because it'll be fun. Like the show must go on.
Man,
And so I found some form of happiness.
I just discovered a way to peer pressure you into things, and it's just film you doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Tay, do this for me. No. People
Yeah.
are
What
watching.
if we turn the
Yeah.
camera
Oh,
on?
no.
I got to dance. Yeah. Well, once a performer, always a performer, I guess.
Absolutely.
I was broken like a wild horse when I was in my late teens, and here we are.
But I was very excited to do it because I've done salvage stuff before. And the idea of going to get an old RV that our intent is never to use as
Yeah.
a functional RV, but to use as like a space, I thought was like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because like this could be like its own little lounge, except for the holes and the mold and the other things.
Yeah.
But that can be fixed
All
later.
the things that can kill you.
Yeah, we'll edit that in post. You
Edit
get
them
the
in
thing
post.
first, It's like a house. You get it first, then you fix it up.
Yeah.
Well, and for me having really, I mean, I've filmed you guys at Salvage Dogs before, but I have no experience in salvage or metalworking. So I'm like, anything that needs to be done to this, we cut it in half, whatever. It's easy, Tay, and all that know how to do it. Like, I mean, I was green, I was new. This was like week one.
No, this is inexcusable because this has nothing to do with your knowledge of the industry I work in.
Sure.
This is like what you just said was, oh, this is easy because I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to do it, and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing
I
was,
made you do this.
well, but also, I
Yeah.
mean, full disclosure, the in the back of my mind, I was like, if this succeeds, it'll be great content.
Yeah.
If it fails,
Yeah.
it will be great content.
Yeah.
I was not secretly hoping, but if the Magnivan had disintegrated on the road here, that would have been a really funny video too. Like
The whole way home, I was just watching out the back window, just like still checking if it was there.
Yeah. Well,
let's talk about what you had to do to get it home, because you two worked some magic to actually get that thing
I'll
onto
say
the trailer.
He and Aaron worked some magic. I was on the side panicking because we used a 5,000 pound rated hitch.
winch.
Winch.
That.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this thing weighed 12,000 pounds, and they were pulling it with a cable and a chain.
Well, I used a combination of 2 winches from Harbor Freight because I was too cheap to buy like a Badlands winch for several $100s because I was already like, I'm already losing money. I'm making, well, although at
You
that
don't
point
understand
it's like,
pot committed, dude.
that's not, well, and anyway, those 2 cheap winches, I had to use them. One was electric and one was manual. And so I had to hold the button from the electric one in one hand and crank the come along in the other hand. And Aaron, meanwhile, was on the steering wheel.
Yeah, and the tires are flat.
Which I thought was by far the easiest job, but apparently he was fighting it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Well, it was like what? It was like 95 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was the middle of like June.
The tires were flat,
July.
and you guys were moving this giant behemoth with just sheer force.
That
And
did
it was-
not want to move.
No, it flat 40-year-old tires, and it was a beaver tail deck over utility trailer. So it was like an equipment trailer. So you have to the trailer tires are 2.5 feet tall, and the deck it sits on is above those.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, via a 10-foot ramp and 2 Harbor Freight winches, move the Magnivan 25 feet forward and 3 feet in the air, essentially.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mass. That's a pretty complicated dynamics problem.
Yeah.
And it almost didn't happen. I don't know if there's any, like, for the 4 people still listening to this, because there's like, we didn't give any background. We're just talking about the Magnivan, but there's so many times it almost didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many points of failure for any of them to, like,
The winch gave out like 4 different
it
times.
overheated. I don't think it works at all now. Like,
No, I think
it got
it's gotta
bent,
be
didn't
dead. Yeah.
well, the come along got ruined
Yeah.
and the electric winch got burnt out, but
Yeah.
somehow they waited until it was up on the deck.
Makes a killer paperweight now.
Yeah.
I really wish you would stop putting my stuff underneath it.
I threw all the cables away because I was tired of tripping over them. So I just have the winch body
You threw out the one part
that we
of the
could have
winch
used.
that could have used. Yeah.
I was upset. But we got it up on this utility trailer, and the other concern I had was that because it's a deck over, the tires are underneath the deck of the trailer, and there's not much space between that. And if they sag excessively, the suspension sags excessively, the deck of the trailer will mash into the tire, and the trailer won't move.
It's essentially manual brake,
and we
on
had
the tires the whole time.
And then you blow the tires, and then you're screwed. And so I was just like keeping space for the reality that, okay, we might get it on the trailer, but then it may not move at all.
Yeah.
And so when we got it up on there, and I reached my hand up and still felt gap, I was like, well, it should work now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're within literally at the maximum weight rating well over the rating for what my truck could tow, but also we're right at the load rating for the trailer.
And we figured out the weight on it because we found an old catalog for the
I did
Magnivan.
that and the data plate on it. I did
Yeah.
some reductive math, and it was like,
It's like 12,000 pounds.
so a trailer it had the maximum weight rating of a trailer also includes the weight of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it says the trailer's max gross tow package is 14,000, that's 14,000 minus the weight of the actual trailer frame.
Really?
Yes.
That's a marketing bullshit.
Yes. And
Can
so
I cuss on this podcast?
yeah.
I've already designated the podcast as explicit on our
Yeah,
our
okay,
Buzzsprout.
cool.
Yeah, so
Good.
we're good.
Fuck yeah.
I'm so used to not being able to cuss. I'm going to have to take my
You still can't cuss in the office.
Oh,
That's a rule.
shit.
Yeah. HR over here.
HR.
I have many titles.
So it was like, this thing weighs 12,000. The gross weight rating of the trailer is 14,000. And I don't know how much the trailer weighs itself. So I was guessing that it was going to be right at the limit. And my truck towing capacity was like either 9,000 or 12,000. So like all the numbers are within a few thousand pounds of each other. I'm also awaiting the my dishwasher is being delivered, so we're gonna have to take a quick break. We'll take an ad break actually, and we'll come right back and we'll talk about something else.
Will and I will keep chatting.
We'll chat it up.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about, Will? Would you get out of here?
Okay, we're back to side
All
bets.
right. What do you want? Yeah. What do you want to bet about?
Well, this did happen.
It's true.
When we were doing the moving the van, there was a lot of side bets going on.
I lost a lot of bets because of you, and I don't hold it against you because.
Well, I didn't hold it against you either because I'd never got my scratchers.
Oh, that's true.
Which was the ante for our bets. It was
How many scratchers do I owe you?
What is
At
it?
least two.
If we found more bees, that was
No.
a scratcher.
It was if Tay got stung by bees.
Okay, Tay got stung by bees. If
He
it
never
rained,
did. Didn't rain.
What else were our? Oh, the Magnivan was going to fall apart on the highway.
Oh shit, dude! I'm gonna owe you a lot of scratchers.
We're gonna have to look at the video again because there was a lot there.
Do you have a theme of scratcher that you like, that you prefer?
Just anything. I like it's as dumb as possible, and the ones that are branded. Like remember when they had Star Trek scratchers for whatever reason? Like anything that's like
my first
stupid.
Scratcher ever
Was a Star Trek scratcher?
No, was this year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Never mind. So at one
I got
point,
ridiculed for not knowing how to scratch a scratcher.
Yeah,
I
mean,
thought
it's fair.
I thought there would be more to it.
That just means you're not mathematically challenged like the rest of us.
I did go to math field day in elementary school.
But maybe this is my problem because I think this is also why I had so much faith in the Magnivan. Is the same reason I'm like, yeah, the lottery's fine. Like, you're never going to win the lottery. And like,
Please don't say
but you
that.
look at the odds and you're like, well, it could be the one. And I'm like, that's a $300. It's a $300 RV. It's going to be fine.
This is a Kyle Kinane joke, but are you more scared of getting struck by lightning, or do you think you're going to more likely win the lottery? Which one?
Well, I mean, I think I definitely have much more likely to get struck by lightning.
Okay, good, because that's it. The odds are in your favor then.
Yeah. I had a art teacher one time who really put a bunch of stuff in perspective for our entire class, and he was like, "Listen, you have a much better chance of becoming a professional baseball player than you do becoming a successful artist." And I was like, "Ouch," because I've already the baseball ship has sailed. Hey, and we're back.
Yes, we're back. I've put on a flannel and we lost Spike.
But you gained a washer.
We did gain a dishwasher. And we had a power outage. We tripped the surge protector because I was running a space heater.
Because it's 16 degrees outside.
It's very cold. But, yeah. Well, we should do an ad.
So, sponsored ad break time from one of our favorite sponsors, ShopSabre.
That's right. This episode is brought to you in part by ShopSabre CNC and their new fiber laser.
Hell yeah.
This is something I'm extremely excited about. ShopSabre is my very favorite CNC machine company. We love their plasma cutter here at Lift Arc. And they just rolled out a new fiber laser. They call it the Fiber Saber.
Nice.
I think. Hold on. Yes. ShopSabre calls their new laser the Fiber Saber. It is a 2 kilowatt fiber laser capable of effortlessly cutting through a wide range of metals, including steel, stainless steel, aluminum, copper, and brass.
And a giant, beautiful looking box too, right?
Dude, this thing is rad. It's fully enclosed. It's made in America. It's under $80,000 for even the biggest one. They have a 4x8. They have a 5x10. And lasers are amazing. They're super precise. There's no dross. There's no kerf. It's like super perfect.
It's the future.
It's the future. Lasers have been around since the 80s and 90s, but they have long been prohibitively expensive. They've been like $250,000 machines. Very few shops can afford them. Very few shops have them. And we are very excited about the possibility of potentially getting one here. But you guys can go order yours right now from ShopSabre.com. And they just announced it. So this segues neatly into the fact that Walker and I will be at PRI, which is the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, December 12th through the 14th. We will be there. I will be working the booth with ShopSabre and talking to you guys if you want to come out to PRI. I think you can still kind of get tickets. I'm not sure what admission tickets cost. If you're going to PRI, you've probably figured out if you're going or not by now because it's December 4th. But if you haven't and you can, you should. If you're in the area, please come out and say hi and check it out and say, see the booth. There's the Langmuir Systems booth now. They have their own booth. And then the ShopSabre booth will have the CNC Plasma, their CNC router, and the new CNC laser. Lots of cool machines on display. And
really just a Lift Arc Grand Slam. You're going to be there hosting. They're going to be unveiling their new laser cutter, and it's a performance racing event.
That's right. Yeah, if you're into motorsports at all, this is the place for you. I'm in heaven when I go there. I mean, there's all sorts of... ShopSabre does a lot of other conventions, but this is by far the one that I look forward to the most. And they have me out to work the booth with them, so for sure. But to learn more about PRI, go to performanceracing.com. Check out more of the show. And, of course, ShopSabre.com and LiftArcStudios.com. Back to the show.
So when we left off, you were telling us about how we just destroyed a marine winch, winch, trying to get this giant 12,000-pound behemoth onto a construction trailer.
Yeah. We were very under-winched. We had and that's my fault. I had the opportunity to buy a really nice Badlands off-road winch, but I don't need a winch, and this project was already costing me money, so I was like, well, maybe, did this come along and this boat winch, if worst case scenario, we'll use both of them at the same time, which we found worst case scenario for sure. We were definitely using both of those at the same time.
You did it.
And it was all we had to barely pull this thing over the beaver tail of the trailer.
And it was 90-something degrees outside.
Hot.
And I think you went to the gym for about 3 months just in the amount of arm work you did getting that thing onto the trailer.
Okay, I'd like to address many, many negative comments we got about this one topic. What I was doing was extremely dangerous. Everyone who's ever worked around cables knows where to stand in the event that they snap. And where I was sitting running this come along is exactly where you don't want to sit. So do not try that at home. I knew full well what I was doing and that it was dangerous, but there was literally no other way to run that come along and not be standing right in the snap zone. Because the Mythbusters tested this, and in an extreme case, it can be true. A snapped cable can cut you in half.
Oh, yeah.
A big one that's under a lot of tension is a sword, essentially. But it didn't snap, and that's nice. I'm very grateful for that cable not snapping. But we did break the come along. The winch no longer works. It was overheating, and it had to take breaks, and so did I. I traded off to Spike several times, but once we got that rear tire over the beaver tail, it was on.
Yeah, and then you guys strapped it down.
Yeah, chained it down to the trailer, and my truck was sagging a little bit, but it was balanced pretty well on the trailer. And we were 4 people deep in Reidsville, North Carolina, with proud owners of a Magnivan ready to drive it home, and it actually drove home pretty good.
I think we also figured out that the trailer brakes weren't working on your...
Oh, I knew that as soon as we left the lot. Yeah, the trailer brakes on that trailer were not working, which is a big deal when you're hauling 14,000 pounds. So you got to play the game of inertia. If you got to look way down the road and predict everybody in front of you to do the absolute worst thing at the absolute worst time. So I was covering the brakes a lot. And, I was driving a 2015 Chevy 1500 pickup, like not a heavy duty, not a 2500, not a 3500, not a diesel, single axle, gas. It is the 6.2, so it's the biggest gas V8 they ever put in those trucks. But so we had the power, but power is oftentimes not the problem. It's usually brakes and suspension. And I had barely enough of both.
I think another thing we learned when we were driving the Magnivan home was the amount of people that it was kind of like a weird town mascot. The amount of people who like thumbs us up along the way or stopped us at the gas station. We're like, oh man, you guys finally got that. Like, oh,
really, truly the most ridiculous concept of all time. Like the fact that it doesn't really say much about Reidsville if this thing was that famous in the town, not to crap on Reidsville, but man, I'm like, for this is what you're applauding, this hunk of shit that we hauled out of the back of somebody's house.
About it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got it home. It was like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I'm sorry, I just ate a cookie. That's what everybody loves, hearing somebody eat food on a podcast. We got it home. We drove straight up 220 south, 220 north, and pulled in here to it was the first thing in our new shop other than my drift car. It was the second thing.
Yeah.
And unloading it was a whole thing. I did it on the day off, and it dug into the ground when it reversed off the trailer because I didn't see the backside of this thing as it went on the trailer. Apparently it was scraping the ground the whole time. So it makes sense that as I pushed it off the back of the trailer,
just digging into the asphalt,
it went down and then just dug in and stopped. And I had my head out the driver window looking back. And when it stopped, my head slammed into the side of the window. It knocked my glasses off, shot them into the parking lot. Then I had a big bruise over my eye from where like my ear temple area, because it just went pow right off the side of the driver window. And then that day we didn't have a forklift here yet.
This shout out to Jared and the grounds crew at Riverdale, right?
Jacob. But no, they weren't the ones that helped me. It was this historical train club that was in the process of moving out. They had this huge old ancient forklift, and they saw this happen. They saw this whole thing happen. And I kind of came to them hat in hand, and I was like, hey, guys, I need your help. And so they came over and like picked the back of this thing out of the asphalt and eased it back, and we finally got it in the shop. But I think I covered a lot of that. I was with a friend of mine, and she wasn't really helpful, so I was sort of by myself, and I was a little flustered, a little embarrassed, and I was like, oh, God, at least it's off. And we got it out.
Into its final resting place.
Which is at the very back of our shop, right next to the office. And it's taking up, probably got about 250 square feet of footprint that it's eating up here in the shop. And it'll never come out of here. I mean, it's now since been buried by all of our equipment and tools. And
yeah, if we ever leave the shop, it's probably going to go to the new owner.
It's going to be conveyed to the new owner of the shop. Yes.
Just like when we found it.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole van is steeped in it'll be someone else's problem. That's like the motto of this van. Like that's probably what Chrysler said when they built it. This is your problem now. You bought it.
Well, so we got it back here. There's a series of videos that you guys can watch if you go to our channel about cleaning it up, about all our road trip adventures, and then became the time where we had to actually do something with it, and took a lot of tearing out, a lot of moldy fiberboard, a lot of moldy insulation. I was incredibly concerned and amazed at how little structure this whole thing has to it.
RVs are built so much more poorly than people think. Like they are literally like fiberglass and aluminum and some thin plywood. Yeah. And that's all it is. And that's clearly nothing's changed since the 70s. This is actually better built than the ones now. Believe it or not.
Terrifying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you ever watch those like Top Gear specials where they like race with caravans and they tow them on a racetrack and they slam them into each other, they disintegrate so fast. I mean, they get ripped off the chassis with nothing.
I bet.
And the road's full of them, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: when it's back to the shop, the whole move. We used to be in a shop in downtown Roanoke at 508 Roar, which, the old price filler machine shop. If you followed our channel at all for any amount of time, most of the videos you've seen up to this point were from that shop. You probably saw us renovate that shop, and first 20 episodes of our YouTube channel covered the renovation of that shop throughout 2018 to like 2020. And, we moved this year. I'm still moving. There's still stuff over there that I haven't brought over yet. But we got 2 big railing fabrication contracts right before we moved. And it's just how it has to go. 2 railing jobs meant 2 deposits that could keep this company alive. And, this move and renovation has quite literally exhausted me of every penny I have. Used my line of credit to fund the renovation here and pay payroll. It's been very expensive and very taxing. And so I had to jump in immediately once we got here to making money again and try to mitigate costs, and keep the business afloat. So I've had no time to work on this thing. And, and I was very, very drained on cause it's just a mountain of work. And I'm sure I didn't hide it well that I was feeling a little
you're fine. But, to
bitter,
your credit,
but
I had made some very slow strides. Aaron came in for a day and helped really tear the ceiling out and get it skinned again. But there's holes in the floor. There's just so many things that still needed to be fixed. And again, to your credit, when you were like, it is time, man, did you run shop on this thing for 2 days and really get it to, I did some finishing work, if you can call it that, but man, when you went go on this thing, that's where we went from a rotted box to a semi-functional podcast studio.
Yeah, that's how I work. You cannot draw something like this out and expect to stay afloat. I was watching you crank at it here and there, poke at it, and I had my own thoughts about how I would have done it if I was in your shoes, but would I love to just be able to screw around with this thing and get it right and redo it and cut new panels for the walls? Sure, but I can't, and I'm not being paid to do that. It's not making me money. There's no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow, and if there is, it's very deferred in what could be a successful podcast if this gets off the ground.
The most extreme form of sweat equity.
Yeah. Yeah, sweat, and it's just sweat. Really, there's no proof. There's no proof of equity. But we're here, and what you're looking at is what it looks like now. What part of it looks like now? Behind me is a kitchenette. We're sitting at the table that you made from some reclaimed pine, and the passenger and driver's seat are back in. They're captain's chairs, so they rotate and spin around, and
have some room.
It's actually kind of a cool
guest
cockpit up there, and some of the signage is back. We put some lights up here.
Yeah, and did a very cool job at repurposing the old lights.
The old light
again.
Locations. It's all powered by several power strips, but shore power, they call it in the RV world. But it's here, and this is now our podcast studio. I'm sure it will evolve a little bit. We'll definitely record some episodes in it as it is, and as any of us get any time, which is very short supply these days, we'll continue to work on it. But
let's talk about the future of the Magnivan.
Yeah.
So, we got most of our renovation.
It doesn't look good.
but we're getting there. So we got enough of the renovation done to start doing our podcast out of here.
Yeah. Which was my goal. I wanted to get to this point very, very badly because we can start we can start the movement of this machine. We can set it in motion. We can do this. And it's a show that I hope people like. We get to talk about the inner workings of our shop, our content, how it all comes together, how, 5 friends get to work together and try to realize what's left of the American dream. This is I hope you guys care. I hope you like it. I hope they get some engagement. You know, our Patreon has some good engagement where they ask us questions and we sit down and answer to them. But this is another way that we can just shoot the shit. And,
Well, it's nice. It's nice also to have a dedicated space.
Yeah,
like
for you, I'm sure. Like this can stay set up, the board and all that. Like this is real, you know, meta, I guess.
But it's like, you know, I do think of it like our treehouse.
Yeah.
Right. Like we all
Mom and Dad can't find us out here.
Yeah, we all brought some like scrap wood from home and, you know, some bits and pieces and a poster here and you know, and we slapped this thing together. And I think that like, you know, I think we're gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a bunch of stuff again for our patrons. And again, if you guys are interested in our Patreon and helping fund the Magnivan, please go over to our Patreon and join today. We have a lot of really cool stuff. We have a plaque of patrons outside where you can get your name actually on the Magnivan.
Yeah, we got some magnetic tape coming where we'll write all the names, just like that, the list of track times from Top Gear.
Yeah.
Like I've had that vision in my head the whole time. We'll write your name on as we go. You'll see us slap your name up there, and you quite literally are holding the Magnivan together.
Absolutely.
By slapping tape on the outside.
there is a lot of tape holding this together.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of tape.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to have some small batch merch available to our patrons from the Magnivan, which I do believe I've saved enough of the little decor and bits and pieces of the Magnivan that when they do buy that small batch, they will also get a piece of the Magnivan to call their own.
What piece?
Well, none of the ones that can
Is it
give
a piece
you
that's gonna like
tetanus or asbestos poisoning or anything bad. Someone really decorated some what I imagine is a loving grandma decorated the inside of this, and there's little bits and pieces and evidence of that everywhere. A lot of it we kind of had to take down because the walls are rotting and everything else. But you know, they're little like mementos from their trips. There's little notes that we found in here of like what they need to take on trips with them. Yeah, there's a little
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Little wind chime over the kitchen.
A little seashell wind chime. You know, the kind of like little goose in the kitchen. You know, wood cutouts. There's a bunch of really special stuff that our patrons will get if they
haven't put it on jack stands yet either.
Yeah,
it's
just
sitting on 40-year-old tires.
We're gonna finish our Lift Arc After Dark sign and get it up here for a podcast studio. Tay did a really rad job of wiring up on the front door to the Magnivan. There's a clear handle that says the Diplomat.
Yeah.
That used to light up. Yeah, it was the executive.
Yeah.
That used to light up. I think it had it had a brake light in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that thing was clearly dead. Tay put in a really rad red LED. So when in the future, when we go to record, the handle is going to light up on the front door.
Red.
Red means record.
On air.
Yep.
Yeah.
On air sign. We got a bunch of little neat stuff to do with it still. But again, if you guys want to know more about the Magnivan and this whole trip there, go check out our channel. And the most like promising SEO kind of way, if you search Magnivan on Google, you know, most of the searches that are going to come up are us taking pictures of this thing, asking the internet, what do you know about this, and our videos. So it's easy to find.
Magnivan. Magnivan. Yeah. Not Magnavan.
Do you think it's magnificent van? What do you think? It
must be.
Yeah.
What else could it be?
Yeah.
It wasn't Trump's America back then, so it's not MAGA van.
No, it's not a MAGA van. Because this is not a good way to make America great again.
Yeah.
This
is a bad example of America.
I mean, you know, but to her credit, she's still here.
Yeah, and it wouldn't fit on European roads, so this can only happen in America. This podcast is brought to you in part by Arc3 Gases. I love this store. It is one of my favorite stores locally. And for many people, there is a local Arc3 Gases. They are a welding supply store. Welding tools, welding equipment, welding consumables, welding gases, and much, much more. Amazing selection of tools, amazing service, free demos and education of anything you'd like to learn about in their catalog. And they source all sorts of stuff. All my favorite welders, tools, grinders, abrasives, they all come from Arc3 Gases. They've supported us for many years, and they will support you. So reach out to them, give them a call, arc3gases.com, make an account, and you can shop online. Wonderful people, wonderful company. Let's get back to the show. But that's the Magnivan. For those of you that want to hear so much more about other things, what, the shop, our projects, our process, our clients, our friends, our cohorts, our everything, designs, goals for the store, the shop, and how we work together. That is all coming on future episodes of the podcast.
Lift Arc After Dark.
Lift Arc After Dark, man. We've garnered quite the audience over the years. The channel at this moment has just ticked over to 73,000 subscribers, I think, a few days ago. And that's been quite a feat. I mean, that's six.
It's big time.
6 long years of pushing the YouTube rock up the hill, and it's been a journey. It was something that I wanted to do at Black Dog when I was there. For those that don't know, my dad owns Black Dog Salvage in Roanoke, Virginia, and it's been operating now for 25 years, quarter of a century, and we had a television show called Salvage Dogs for 8 years. We did 11 seasons of that. The YouTube channel was a parlay attempt from what I learned on TV, and Walker Hooper, who's not on camera right now, has been an absolute badass.
He's a beast
on the editing side. Really, being a director, because I'll just give him a memory card full of stuff I shot, and he's the one that puts it into a story. He's the one that makes it fun and interesting. And we've collaborated with bands and artists over the years for music for the show, and until we had to pay for a subscription to get all the music we need. Yeah. And I had to build a server out of an old computer so that we had enough space for all the footage we were shooting, and learn how to do networking and static IP stuff, and
you guys did it all.
Windows credentials, and you have to do everything. And it was just Walker and I at Lift Arc for a long time, and then Aaron joined, and Spike joined, and now you're here, and Wyatt was in and out. Aaron was in it. Aaron's moved on to start his own handmade, Hardway handmade, his very passionate line of cool artistic
we'll
items.
Definitely have him on to talk about.
Can't wait to see what he's been working on. But and shout out to Hunter Flieger, our new fabrication hire here at the shop. He is killing it. We are very efficiently, I think, satisfying our custom job requests. Lots of handrails, lots of custom architectural stuff. Sort of our bread and butter, but we have really, really cool builds in the radar. Large-scale sculpture work, big-time signage work, things that we can really start to flex our muscle on. So 2025 is shaping up to be quite the year for us, and we can't wait to share it with you guys.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man.
And thanks again for doing this, Tate. This really was a big leap of faith on your part. I mean, again, I had just started working here.
Yeah.
When I was like, how about this RV?
Yeah.
And you said yes.
Yeah. I really should not have listened. Yeah. There's a reason I didn't ask anyone else if it was a good idea, because I knew it wasn't a good idea. And that's okay. So go patreon.com/LiftArcStudios if you want to support us there. Obviously, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out our merch at liftarcstudios.com. We actually have many full boxes of T-shirts still left.
They make great Christmas presents.
Yes. I imagine a big-time discount coming on our... I would like to rid the boxes of merch for 2024 and start some new stuff. So look out for discounts. Our patrons get discounts on our store for sure, so that's a quick way to do that. But, find us on all the things. I've got a long list of projects that I have yet to post on social media, but follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, and I guess I've now satisfied my sell ourself requirement.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. We really love you.
Couldn't do this without them.
We could not. And cannot wait to see how the channel grows and the podcast and all that. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Will, for helping make this happen. And we'll see you next week on the Lift Arc After Dark podcast.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Lift Arc After Dark, yeah.
Tune into the Lift Arc After Dark, the shadow spell. 10 crew real sexy, wrap the tail, setting drip cost free. Cutting metal the sparks, fly, moving fast in the Magnivan. Man, partner, freak, we feel the heat. Catch the beat and we repeat. Get real, get loud. In the Magnivan Grove. Lift Arc After Dark, yeah. It's the ultimate move. Get real, get loud. Lift Arc After Dark, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Patreon, a big time shout out. We're gonna read some patron names, and actually our certified master welders. They're the ones to get read out here on the show live. Shout out to Amanda, John Bocock, that is king of the fan base. Craig, Brian, Eric, Alan, Martin, Frank and Katie, Andrew, James, Steve, Mark, Dan, Michael, aka Dirty Tungsten, what a name. Cindy, we have Angry Cripple, that's his actual name, it's not a nickname I gave him. Johnny, Jim, Lex, and Jane.
Thank you guys.
Our 20 certified master welders. That is the top tier of our Patreon. A steal at twice the price, if you ask me. And
Steal at any price.
That's right. And just a reminder, our top tier patrons get the Master Welder Monday video to them every week, which is a sit-down interview with me, at least, and with maybe other people, where I answer your questions at length directly, and you can literally ask me anything. We've been asked about the deep specifics of welding and about Thanksgiving turkey.
Lots of great food questions.
Lots of food questions. But yeah, that's it. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to our subscribers. And thank you to our customers. We appreciate y'all. Take care of each other. Be safe out there. And we'll see you next week on the Lift Arc After Dark podcast.
Hell yeah again.
Hell yeah again. Bye.
Get real, get loud, lift up, after dark, yeah.
How's this? You want to hear my silky smooth tunes?